155 total chart entries. Rounding out the top 5 are Beyonce, The Weeknd, Chris Brown, and Usher. And the family of a black man, Dante Melton Jr., plans to sue over his death in Baltimore police custody. Melton died in June after waiting nearly an hour for medics during a dispatch outage. His death was ruled a homicide, and the lawsuit will be filed after the state investigation concludes. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
It's a beautiful, chilly, cold Tuesday morning. We made it through Monday, and if you thought it was a little chilly yesterday, woo, you better get ready for some chilliness today. Because if you do get a subscription to the newspaper and you went to open that door, then you got a cold, rude awakening. And if you haven't gone out to start your car, then if you do have the gloves handy, you might want to grab them. But it's not going to be warm or hot today. I think it's barely getting up to 70. This is Will Sutton, and it is 7:08 a.m. We are getting going. We got a wonderful show lined up for you today. And as always, we like to remind you that the school zone miles per hour are in effect until 9 a.m. So, if you're out there driving, out there driving, be careful around the school zones. Please watch out for our babies, all of them. The pre-K, the K, the 1 through 5, the middle school, the high school, even the babies with the hair on their face, and the babies that maybe should be putting on more clothes. I mean, just watch out for them and watch out for the mamas and everybody. And I am not here alone today. Guess who's with me? Guess who's with me? I got Ashley Shelton from Power Coalition. Good morning, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, good morning. Good to be here.
Good to have you here. When's the last time you've been at WBOK?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Yeah, at least 6 months or more.
Okay.
So glad to be back.
All right.
Glad to be in studio.
Yep. And you've been here before being interviewed about serious and very important issues. And we're going to do some of that today, but it's good to have you along for the ride for the show today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yep. Smart sister that you are. I know you got some things to share. And we're going to be weighing in a number of things. Of course, we're going to be sharing the news and information that you want to know, need to know. And there are a number of developments in the news. But first I want to let you know that there are a few little crime developments that you might want to be aware of. I don't know if you all saw the guy who went into the Slidell Bank. I don't know if you saw this, Ashley.
I did not.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to play it for you while I'm talking so you can see this
Mm-hmm.
because it's quite a thing. So let's just say that all kinds of bank robbers and people have come up with all kinds of schemes
Right.
because they decided to do something bad. And sometimes they use disguises. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes they use a mask. And this guy decided to go into a Slidell bank. And he's limping with his face covered and his hat pulled over his head. And then he robs the bank. And then he runs out of the bank.
Right.
Now, no, I couldn't really see it, but I have to say, the brother looked like he was having some bad acting day with the limp.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, come
ooh,
on.
not if you can run. Okay.
I mean, look at his limp. Look at his limp. I'm
That
like,
is
come
wild.
on.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's not even B movie
Right,
stuff.
right.
That
Oof,
is a bad limp. Well, it worked out for him in the meanwhile because he escaped.
Oh wow. Well,
So,
you know.
he got to a vehicle and he got away. So Slidell Police Department wants you to call if you know anything about this at 985-643-3131, 985-643-3131, or Crime Stoppers. Of course, that's you, anonymous, 504-822-1111. Crime Stoppers, 504-822-1111. I have to say, I am not inclined to rob banks or to do any of that kind of criminal activity.
Absolutely not.
But I do think I could do a better limp.
yeah,
than
yeah.
what I saw.
Right.
See that limp?
Look, I tell people all the time. I said, "Do you watch TV? Because some of this stuff doesn't look too hard."
Yeah, right.
I think I could definitely do a better
yeah.
lip.
Seems like he did a better plan, had a better plan for the escape.
Right.
Because he's
right.
gone,
Right.
but that limp, come on, man.
It's funny.
All right. So meanwhile, y'all might remember this. There was a Harvey woman who was accused of killing her 3-year-old son. Just absolutely horrible. And this was, really, really bad. Kids of various ages, and particularly so young, they don't have the maturity of an adult. They hardly know what's going on.
Right.
They're trying to pay attention. They're learning right from wrong. They're crying for some of their needs instead of talking about it. And this woman was arrested in August in the death of her son. This was 2100 block of Manhattan Boulevard over in Jefferson Parish in Harvey. Turns out she's mentally incompetent. She's been rude, mentally incompetent. Of course, that's a situation for the woman. Her name is Alexis Welsh, 32. She's being admitted for treatment in East Louisiana State Hospital in Jackson, Louisiana, after this November 5th hearing. And this was a court-appointed psychiatrist who made this ruling that she's not mentally fit to stand trial. And I hate to see that for anybody, but my heart breaks for the loss of a 3-year-old kid.
Absolutely. It's just devastating. And then her other children and all the things that that have happened in the aftermath.
Yep. So,
Devastating.
I mean, this was due to suffocation and smothering.
Oh gosh.
I mean, and she even admitted it. So it wasn't like, well, that she did it. And another piece of the story that bothers me is that she was charged with first-degree murder. I mean, very intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the charge. So
Right,
that's pretty upsetting
Very
for
much
that.
So.
Yeah. So meanwhile, of course, we had the developments out of Washington, D.C., and we are still in a government shutdown. So I don't want y'all to be fooled
Right.
that the actions that were taken on Sunday and Monday mean the government shutdown is over. It is not over.
It is not.
It is not over. What happened was,
As the story goes.
yes, yeah. What happened was, there was enough pressure, I guess, on a number of Democratic senators that they felt like they needed to be a part of the solution being end of the government shutdown.
Funny, none of them were up for re-election.
Yes. And they decided that that part of the pain needed to end, though there's no significant agreement on what the Democrats were fighting for, a more permanent solution for health care. And actually, not even permanent, an extension. It
Right.
wasn't even permanent.
Right.
It was an extension
Right.
of the health care. So the vote was 60-40. They needed 60. They got 60. So it's moving along in the U.S. Senate, but now it goes to the House. So the House will have to pass the continuing resolution to say, okay, we agree, and we'll reopen government. The Senate has agreed that there will be a December vote, up or down, on extension. The House hasn't made any such agreement.
Right.
So what kind of agreement is this?
No, I mean it's wild. It's wild. It's like on Sunday, it felt like I was watching tennis. It was just like like, and then the intricacies, like people don't understand what all this stuff means, right? And so, like I think both, so there's like you said, there's the Senate side, and then you still got to reconcile everything on the House side, and then I think too that like what allegedly what the progressives, the Democrats were holding out for was subsidies, right? For, for Obamacare. They were holding out for, some relief and some of the terrible cuts in Medicaid. Because let's be honest, in a state like Louisiana, where you have a significant amount of people that use and depend on Medicaid, people were going to die.
Yeah.
And I think that people think it's like, oh, you're being dramatic. Like, no, people are going to die. I mean, I think, I read an Invest newsletter that, like 33 hospitals across the state were going to close because of these cuts to Medicaid and other, and other programming. And so it's just like we have to get real about what it means to be a poor state, right? We have to be real that we live in a poor state, and that unfortunately too that we have been winning the race to the bottom. And now, in the face of all of these cuts and the big ugly bill, we've got some challenges ahead of us.
Well, it's big challenges, and I think so often when people talk about limiting government, cutting government, getting the government out of our lives, they don't often realize how much government is supporting their doctor's visit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Even
if you have insurance,
even if
paid
you
insurance,
have
right?
insurance. You think that copay is too much and it's covering the bill? No, it is
It's not. Exactly.
It
exactly.
is not. It is
And
not.
private and folks with private insurance are going to see it go up 30%. And that's if you're lucky. That's all it is.
And imagine if you've been on, let's say you're not on what we typically define as a fixed income. Let's say you've worked your hard life, you've had
Right.
a good career, you did all the right things, you put a couple of kids through college,
Right.
you took vacations, you saved, you invested, and you have a nest egg that you could rely on based on
Right.
everything your financial advisor said. And you'll be able to have this much every month, Mr. Jones. Are you sure? I'll work a couple more years. Are you sure? And then somebody says 30% increase. Well, wait.
Wait.
That's not in the calculation.
That's not in the plan. That's not.
That-
And then don't forget the everyday inflation on things like eggs.
Right.
It's a real funny thing that was such a focus during the election last year, and somehow eggs cost even more than they did then.
Yep.
And so
yep.
people are seeing that domino effect of all the ways that tariffs and all these, and even the threat of tariffs, how it's impacting their pocketbooks all across this country. And I think that we have to be, like that we have to understand that elections have consequences, and it's all fun and games until the rhetoric is implemented. And and everybody warned of Project 2025, decimating SNAP in Project 2025, destroying the
It's in
Department of
there.
Education.
It's
It's in there, right? It's all in there. And so it's just like, at the end of the day, I don't know why anybody's surprised. It's all in there. There was a whole plan.
Yep, yep. And sometimes people don't realize the connection between government funding and facilities such as healthcare facilities, hospitals, clinics. Um, these things are not free.
Right.
And those of us who pay taxes, we're paying for these. And that's why there's such thing as a public good or societal
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely.
I mean, it might not be for me today or ever,
right.
or even ever, but I want my family, my friends, my neighbors
Absolutely.
to have access to these things. And
It's
in a
called
state
community.
like absolutely, and in a state like Louisiana, we're such a poor state. We can forget that if we live in places like New Orleans or Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria,
Mhm.
Lake Charles. I mean, not that those places don't have large numbers of poor people or marginally
Right.
working class people, but there are communities that you don't have a choice of, let me see, should I go to Ochsner or let me go to LCMC? No,
Yeah.
you don't have that choice.
Right. Right.
You got a choice, and it might not always be open.
Now, yeah, no, for sure, and certainly understaffed, given
Right.
the cuts that are coming down the pike.
Yep. And then you got a kid that has not even special needs. They just have ongoing medical issues that need attention like throughout their lives.
Hmm.
And you don't even have a specialist for that nearby.
Yeah, no, I look. Let me tell you, I live in a major metro here in Louisiana, and I can't see a neurologist until the end of January.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what is going on?
Yes.
And I think we're only going to see that get exacerbated with all of these cuts and all the things that are upon us.
Yep. So keep that in mind, folks, as this government shutdown thing goes through. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what is the deal about the deal for the December vote that the House Speaker from Louisiana, Mike Johnson, says, I'm not a part of that. And y'all knew that and then still make the deal. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we got to call it. Good morning, Ms. Jones. You
Good
are online
morning,
with Will Sutton and
Stu.
Ashley Selton.
Good morning to you all and to your co-worker now. Bringing back what you were talking about on the Medicaid and cutting it down.
Yeah.
And she said something, people would die. That's exactly the whole desire, to so that people would take sick time. You want to have the health services available. They did it with COVID, tell you to put bleach in your bloodstream, lack of medication, not telling. All of that, I believe, is part of purging the population. When people say it's something, well, I would die. That's exactly what they have in mind.
Mm.
So people think about it. So people should do what should have always been done. Try to take command of your health in some way. If you have doctors who are helping you, follow what they say. Group together, help each other. Be mindful of what the foods with so much sugar, so much salt, leading to with high blood pressure and anything else. But take better care of your health as much as possible, because that is the whole purpose, it seems to me. They have enough money, enough health with Medicaid, Medicare. People have work, and then maybe they got disabled, couldn't work, and then some people grew up and never were able to work because of health issues. Who are they to determine who's going to live and not live?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Yeah, we'll die if we don't get the medical service. That's exactly what they have in mind. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong, but anybody who agree or disagree, I respect it.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Jones. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you for being awake and spending some of your morning with us.
Yes, and another thing, our clerk, it should be urgent that people vote for this man. He has been through the mills. Experience is the master teacher.
I hear you.
It's the master teacher. So anybody who's talking differently, he's been through it. He knows, and he knows what to do and what not to do, as opposed to somebody who's, that's just off a dynasty of names.
All right, Ms. Jones.
Okay.
All right, we hear you. I think everybody heard you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, this is the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m. We're going to go to break in a moment, and then we'll be back talking about the news and information that you want to know, need to know, should know. And we're going to, in a bit, talk with Miss Ashley Shelton about what's going on with these elections and it's redistricting and what is all this about voting rights. And, it's been in the news, but, these other things happen like government shutdowns, and then sometimes we're not paying attention to other stuff. It's still going on.
Absolutely.
It's still going on. So we're going to be talking about that right after the break. You're listening to WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by Lowe's.com. Atlanta business leaders are backing its mayor's decision to sacrifice tens of millions of dollars of federal funding instead of dismantling diversity programs. Mayor Andre Dickens chose to clash with the Trump administration over DEI, costing it money for its airport. But Metro Atlanta Chamber President Katie Kirkpatrick says the city shouldn't compromise on long-standing diversity efforts.
Our DNA is steeped in having a diverse workforce, a diverse community, and the mayor doesn't shy away from that. And I think if he had, it would have been inauthentic to who we are as a community. And so corporations are going to hire the talent where they find it, and they're going to look for quality. And that is one of the biggest strengths that we have in Metro Atlanta right now, is a diverse, well-educated population that can fill the jobs that we are creating.
The federal funding would have gone toward upgrades at Atlanta International Airport. Mayor Dickens says he'll find a way to replace that lost money. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Hi, I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Looking for the right school for your child? Join the Greater New Orleans Collaborative of Charter Schools for the Charter School Admissions Fair, Tuesday, November 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Hines Charter School in Lakeview. Meet staff and leaders from over 25 top pre-K through 12 public charter schools across Orleans and Jefferson parishes. Discover programs, ask questions, and find the perfect fit for your family. It's free and open to the public. Register now at gnocollaborative.com or just walk in. The GNO CCS Charter School Admissions Fair, your gateway to great schools.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree. Start a new one. On your time, your degree, your schedule. No excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and guess what? I'm here with Ashley Shelton.
Good morning.
I don't think I gave you a proper introduction of the founder, president, and CEO, for those of y'all who are not sure what that is, Chief Executive Officer of the Power Coalition.
Yes. Well, I am so grateful to be here today and to kind of share all the things happening in our great state and around this country, and so and your listeners need to know there's so much happening.
Absolutely,
so much
yeah.
happening.
Our WBOK family of listeners is a wonderful audience and quite a diverse audience. They have a lot to say, a lot to share, even if they don't always call in. They are listening, and you know that because sometimes you get a text note or an email.
Oh,
I've
already gotten some hearts this
You're
morning.
Right. So we hear from, and we know that they spread the word about what they heard, and there are things that they hear at WBOK that they don't hear elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Or maybe they hear it elsewhere, but with a little different context,
right?
Little
Context
different
matters.
perspective. And I appreciate my primary employer, giving me the platform that I have, but it's not like me having something to say every day.
Right.
And I get to hear what other folks say as well. So it is 7:35 a.m., folks. If you need to be somewhere at 7:30, you are late. You are late. But if you got 7:45, you might be able to make it. And if you're targeting 8, then you're probably in decent shape, since you can get pretty much anywhere around here in 15 to 20 minutes or so, as we say. But 7:35 a.m., don't forget about the school speed zones in effect until 9. Watch out for all of our babies. And Miss Shannon, we see you. Good morning, Shannon. As well, Sutton. You got Ashley Shelton here, too. How are you? Shannon? Nope. Are you there? Nope, you're not there. All right, Shannon, call back again.
Right.
504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. We were talking about the government shutdown and the impact that has on us as individuals and families, our friends, on health care in particular, since that was the thing that the Democrats were supposedly holding out for was, I used the word permanent, but really it was just an extension of ACA. And so the deal is there's nothing extended. The only extension is the conversation that will continue in December, when there will be a vote of some kind on something in the Senate, and the House is expected to follow through, except they weren't a part of the deal. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, it's a fair summary. And and I think too that one of the things that I've appreciated about kind of the last year has been that I think folks have been more active than they've ever been, and folks are starting to realize, you got to make the phone call. It used to be that you could depend on those chronic voters to get on the line and call their congressman or woman and tell them whatever needed. It's like, no, we all have to call, and we all have to say what we want. And and I think too, we're in a place where I don't care what if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, no party, whatever that is. This is about what we care about as a country. This is what we care about as communities. And so at the end of the day, it's like, the time of all these titles determining how you vote is less important than who this candidate is or person is, and whether or not they care about the same things you care about. And so, again, that's why representation is so fundamental to our democracy, to our citizenship. And, and I remind people all the time, make the phone call. The phone call matters. You can send the email too, but the phone call is much more powerful. Flood the inboxes. Let's have these conversations, because again, one of the favorite things whenever you're at the state legislature or even walking the halls of Congress, they were like, well, my constituents aren't calling me about this. I haven't heard anyone upset about this. Now, because I work with community, I know that that's not true. However, the more intense that those voices, those touches are, the more they're like, oh my gosh, people are really mad about this. Right. And so there's no way for them to know unless you make the call.
Right. And so let's segue into, you have a high profile. Okay, you do. You have a high profile. All right. So there are a number of folks in the WBOK family of listeners who know the name Ashley Shelton. They know the name Power Coalition. But let's take them back a bit, and then let's go fast forward into voting. So, who's your mama in them, Ashley? Where you come from? Where'd you grow up? And
so it's the Louisiana story.
Yeah.
I born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Went to Baton Rouge High. Went to LSU. My first job was at the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. So I was on a whole little rant there for a minute.
Yeah.
And so my background's in philanthropy. So I've got a degree in broadcast journalism, and did some work there, and ultimately just landed in community. I always tease folks, if you can write and you can speak, you can pretty much do anything. And so, one of my internships was doing public relations and really being able to support community, and it just felt right. It felt like where I wanted to be. And so, did some work in philanthropy, and then philanthropy is an interesting, it's interesting, right? Like there's something about having access to resources and access to people that have power, but like you're still always fighting to be able to have the kind of impact on community that you want to have in terms of why do we have money and access to people with power, but we're slowly changing things. We should be able to change things if we've got power and resources, right? And and so what I came to realize is that like we had a pretty car, but every car needs an engine. And Power Coalition really was born out of this idea that like I love philanthropy. Don't get me wrong, I love being able to put resources on the ground in communities. When I left BRAF, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, I worked for the Louisiana Disaster Recovery Foundation after Katrina. And therefore begins my love affair with New Orleans. I always had one, but formalized the fact that I would pretty much be splitting my week between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And we had the Bush Clinton Katrina funds, and so we had $50 million to be able to restore, the people that were impacted by Hurricane Katrina, in particular the people of New Orleans, and rebuild housing, rebuilt. Had put an emphasis on small businesses because we knew they were the engines of communities, right? And, able to put people back into homes. But what you realize very quickly is that the number sounds big, but the money goes fast, right? And so
especially when you have to divide it up. So it's not like your one organization gets all this money.
Right. And also too that like the magnitude, the sheer scale of Katrina, right? Like I always talk about it as the mother of modern disaster. Like we had never seen anything like that in terms of a natural disaster in recent times, right? Like because everybody can go back. My storm before that was Andrew, right? I was a kid, we were home from school for a week. There was no electricity, eating out of an ice chest, the usual. Everybody's got that one storm that you remember from back when. But Katrina changed that in a way that I think is significant. And so, what you understand though is that while we had 50 million, the federal government was investing 50 billion alone in just parts of the recovery here in New Orleans. And so part of what, became really important was getting people to fight for getting this money to the ground and not having this money just disappear into all these projects and not create jobs, not put people back into housing, not repair and bring back the infrastructure in a way that was meaningful. Like that was the fight. And so no matter how much money you have, you always, to the point we made earlier, our states are poor. I mean, in general, right? Like not even just Louisiana. I mean, we're probably one of the poorest states. But, states are poor in general. And so when the federal government makes comments like we're going to give this over to the states, let me just tell you, no matter what state you live in, with maybe the, exception of California, New York, and a few others, I mean, I think it's like 8 of them that basically fuel and fund the whole federal government for all of the rest of us. And so when people say like we're going to turn things over to the state, you need to be afraid because the state doesn't have the resources and the capacity without federal funding. 54% of the state's budget comes from the federal government.
Say that again.
54%. last I read, right? It comes from the federal government. And so when they talk about these cuts and they talk about, all these things, you have to be real clear that like, when they talk about cuts, I mean, so 54%, and then the majority of our healthcare budget comes from the federal government.
Right.
So now what, right? Yeah. And so, and so it all sounds great in a soundbite until you start looking at the real numbers, the real math. And so, spent a lot of my career, really trying to get those federal dollars to actually get into community, right? Like that, no matter what it looks like, no matter what, like what you have, the fight always was, like, I've got these resources that we're going to make sure we put people back into their homes. But then what about those additional resources that are at the federal level that seem like you can't touch them, but you absolutely can touch them and should be talking to the people that have the power to actually get them to the ground and into communities where these are our taxpayer dollars.
Right.
No matter what. One thing that that polls really well is that people agree that the federal government does have a responsibility to take care of communities that have been devastated by disaster. And now we're starting to see disaster all over this country. It's not just Louisiana. I mean, in fact, Ida, and Sandy before it. They hit here first, and then they went all the way to New Jersey.
Yep.
New York, right? Like,
Yep.
so we're seeing wildfires in LA. We're seeing heat, like just the kind of heat that people can't live through.
Hurricane in western North Carolina. What?
Right.
Not even-
Asheville. Okay, like
That's crazy.
there was no plan.
Yeah,
there was
right.
no plan because
No.
they never thought it would happen to them. And and I think it's just the reality that as communities being, that are having to deal with disasters, no longer. Why don't they just move? Because it's all of us. More
Right.
than 80% of folks in this country are susceptible to disaster, and that's whether
Right.
it's tornado, hurricane, fires, drought, the flooding. And again, these are all things that we get to vote on and we get to prioritize when you think about why, I tease, I said, so now we're going to just have 1,000-year flood like every year
Mhm,
and in
mhm.
multiple states across
Mhm.
this country.
Right.
And those are infrastructure problems.
Yep.
Those are, again, where are my taxpayer dollars going so that there's the kind of infrastructure that can take a big rain cloud. Or if we're going to be getting 1,000-year flood rain cloud on a regular basis, well, what is the plan? And these are the kinds of things where, again, you think your vote doesn't count, your vote doesn't matter. There is somebody determining these things at every level of government. You need to be in the mix.
So this November, we have some elections across parts of our state, including Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And in New Orleans, we have 3 runoffs, one for criminal court clerk, one for City Council District A, and one for City Council District E.
Yes.
And oftentimes people pay attention to the elections that involve people. And that's understandable,
Right.
Because people can talk and they can answer questions. They can also choose not to answer questions. They can be somewhere, not be somewhere.
Right.
They're going to get 30 seconds on TV sometimes.
Right.
Whereas a bond measure doesn't talk. It can't answer questions. It's a
True.
lot of words that some people would rather not read, and they just want the summary. But you got $510 million at issue, whether you think your politics ties to it or not, it does.
Absolutely.
And so in Orleans Parish, we've got 3 bond issues
Yep.
and 2 charter amendments on the ballot. That's separate from the
Huge.
runoffs.
Yeah.
Separate from the runoffs.
All right.
So one of the things the Power Coalition has been clear about is that voting and elections matter. And
And you got to complete your ballot. You got to go you got to hit hit the whole thing. And so
Yep.
we know people will go in and just vote for the one thing they know they want to vote on, but you got to complete the ballot. And we make it easy. You can go on our website at powercoalition.org and we've got sample ballots. You can go on the Secretary of State's website. Everything that are on our ballots are pulled from the Secretary of State's website, but they are just if you vote yes, this is what it means. If you vote no, this is what it means.
Or you can catch me on the street because I got it in my back pocket. How
I
about
love it.
that?
I love it.
Okay? It's like, you don't know what to vote for? Okay, here it is. Okay?
Right, let's talk about it, right? I love it. You made my day.
I know you made it so you can put it on the door.
Yes,
but I fold it over and put it in my pocket.
Exactly. Well, no, because these are real conversations. You have to, nobody wants to go into the booth and not know what to do, not know the answer to the question. And they make, let's be clear that it is it's not lost on anyone that they make it hard on purpose. It's legalese. Sometimes you don't know if you're voting yes.
Right.
Is it a no? It's intentional.
What does a yes mean? What does a no mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so
Mhm.
for us, it's, we've been really intentional about helping people understand what happens when you click what you're voting for so that you're clear which way you want it to go. And
Right.
I think too, we talk about constitutional amendments. Those were on the ballot back in March
29th.
statewide. Yep. And, and to your point, they don't have a voice, right? I mean, they have the voice, whatever voice that's being, the prevalent voice or whoever's paying the most money for you to, to hear about a certain perspective on those things. But, one of the things I'm really proud of is that we went around the state and we did listening sessions, we did town halls, We were in big meetings and small meetings, working with Liberty and Dignity Coalition, just literally talking to citizens every single day about what these things actually meant and what they actually said versus what some of the rhetoric was. Because trust me, there's rhetoric about all the things, right? Like, I mean, it's all people's opinions, but I mean, there are the facts though that can't be denied about what some of these things would have done. And now, here we are all these months later, had some of those constitutional amendments passed along with now the big ugly bill, it would have devastated the state of Louisiana more than it already is going to be devastated by these cuts. And so, it's proof that to me that 65% of voters rejected, they rejected those amendments. And it was just, a reminder that we've got to get into community and really touch people and talk to them about what the things on the ballot do. And so those charter amendments, critical. Like, you need to know what they mean and you need to understand what they do.
Well, let's talk about that some more. We're going to have to go to break. I am Will Sutton, and in conversation with Ashley Shelton from the Power Coalition. It is 7:51 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8 a.m. You got about 9 minutes. So I hope it's only 5 minutes away. But whatever you do, keep in mind the school speed zones. Be safe. Be safe for yourself and watch out for others, even the crazy drivers. I'm sure you're not one. But watch out for the other drivers who might be a little crazy, not paying attention, might be on their phone or otherwise distracted, putting on the makeup or reading the newspaper while they're driving. Pay attention to them so you can help avoid accidents and save lives. 7:51 a.m. This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-311-5977. That's 800-311-5977. 800-311-5977.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you all who have been with us since 7, 7:05, 7:10, 7:15, whatever time you had the opportunity to tune in. We appreciate all of our WBOK family of listeners, those of you all who are on amplitude modulation, AM radio. Yes, I remember that from my FCC licensing days.
I love it.
You're too young to know about that.
I had to learn about it.
All right. And we appreciate those of you all who are tuning in on the internet. And as always, we appreciate those of you who are listening and watching on Facebook Live. I'm Will Sutton, and with me today is Ashley Shelton, and we are engaging in conversation about the voting and impact of voting. And right now we're talking about what's on the ballot in Orleans Parish. So there are the people who can talk, and so that's incumbent clerk Darren Lombard with challenger Kelvin Duncan. And in City Council District A, that's Holly Friedman. And the other candidate is Amy McCarron. And in District E, for that City Council seat, we have State Representative Jason Hughes and former City Councilwoman Cindy Nguyen. So those are the people that you can vote on depending on where you live. So if you're in District A or District E, you have 2 candidates to select. If you're in the rest of Orleans Parish, then you have 1 candidate to select between Duncan and Lombard. But if you're in Orleans Parish, you have the opportunity to vote on each of the propositions, 1, 2, and 3, and 2 charter amendments. And so you can't interview those amendments and propositions, but you can do some reading, and Power Coalition is here to help. So what about Proposition 1, 2, and 3?
You know, we have done some extensive analysis of, of the propositions, and also too, did some due diligence in community, like what, because I think that there is both like what it sounds like it says it does, and then there's also too, like, then how does it actually play out in community? And so again, in fact, went through a lot of thoughtful, kind of analysis to make sure that, that we were clear about what a yes vote would mean and what a no vote would mean. And so, and I think that, we didn't take a stance on any of the amendments because we are a 501c3 organization, which means that we cannot take any, side on candidates, but we can take a side on issues. But for this, really felt like the people needed to decide, what was the best, what was best for them. And so and there are also lots of other organizations that are our partners, like Greater New Orleans Housing Alliance and others who have taken a stance on these issues. And so certainly, there's a lot to be able to kind of learn about what's at stake with these amendments. I mean, not amendments. I'm sorry, propositions.
Yep. So we have a proposition on housing.
Yes.
And there's some pros and cons on that. We have a proposition on infrastructure. I haven't heard any cons on that. People seem to be feeling like if it's infrastructure, wherever it is, then I want to see it. The concerns I've heard is whether the infrastructure project list should include more projects in my neighborhood or my city council district, as opposed to spread around the way that it is, and my area is larger than another area. But it does include every city council district. And then, of course, Proposition 3 with drainage and sewer. So if you live in Orleans Parish, there's hardly any place that you live, work, or play where we don't have some drainage issues, and who doesn't want those fixed? And I've heard absolutely none opposition to that one. So the opposition and pros and cons seem to be on number 1 with the housing/affordable housing, the impact on the Housing Trust Fund versus the way things would be funded this way with the bond. So is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. All right. Then we have the charter amendments. So we got the charter amendment that would change the dates essentially for planning. I mean, I could go longer, but I mean, that's,
that's basically at its heart.
I mean, it gives the staff and city council more time to consider community concerns and development and also, more time seems like a no-brainer. Looks okay. And then you have the city attorney charter amendment. A little bit more controversial because we have operated as under the city charter with the city attorney being hired by the mayor and responsible for reporting to the mayor and the city council, working on behalf of the city of New Orleans. I think everybody agrees with that reading of the charter, but perhaps disagree with how much weight the city attorney should give to the person who hired them versus the city council that they're also responsible for. And then what about us, the citizens who we're not on council or city administration? So there is a checkpoint in there, which would be, if the voters approve that that amendment, then the city council would be able to tell the mayor, no, you cannot fire the city attorney if at least 3/4 or 5 of the city council members agree, which could be an interesting situation to be fired but not fired.
Yeah. Well, and then, interesting times.
Yeah,
I always tell folks about anytime you're looking at a change to the charter and anytime you're looking at a change to the constitution of the state, you need to really pay attention. These are, because typically it's it's easy to get something before the voters to decide about these things. It's something, it's very much harder once it's decided, right, to get it all out of the charter, right? And so make sure that you read up and you understand where you want to be on each of those charter amendments, because again, this is the governing document for the city of New Orleans, and so it matters.
Yep. And, it wasn't that long ago that the voters approved city council approving the mayor's appointments to a number of city departments. So you do make a difference when you vote.
Yep.
So the people who did choose to vote made that decision.
Absolutely.
Not the people who didn't vote.
Right.
And
right.
so that's another piece of what we probably should
and when
talk
you don't,
about.
right, I was about to say, when you don't vote, you help make a decision too.
You are making a decision. Absolutely. All right, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some more about voting and elections. We'll get into a little bit of a conversation about Voting Rights Act.
Yes.
We've got all the government shutdown stuff going on, but folks,
there's something
Voting
way,
Rights
much
Act
more
is
critical.
still at stake. And we need to talk about that, more about what you know, need to know, want to know, might want to know, should know, when we come back after the break. I'm Will Sutton, on with Ashley Shelton from the Power Coalition. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former Memphis, Tennessee police officer Demetrius Haley is asking to be released from federal custody. His attorneys filed a motion for bond, noting his clean disciplinary record in confinement and compliance with release conditions before his conviction. The request comes less than a week after Haley and 2 other former officers were granted a new trial in the death of a black man, Tyree Nichols. Interim Chicago Housing Authority CEO Angela Herlock, who is black, is stepping down. Board Chairman Matthew Brewer will serve as operating chair while the vote on former Alderman Walter Burnett's appointment is delayed. And the American Bar Association is facing backlash for doubling down on its support of DEI in law school accreditation. Sherry Sylvester with the Texas Public Policy Foundation argues accreditation power should return to the state Supreme Court, which originally handled it, saying that keeps authority with elected officials rather than the ABA. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and in with me today is Ashley Shelton. So nice to have you here, my sister.
Good morning. Good morning.
Appreciate all your hard work. Y'all do such good work at Power Coalition. I look at you all's website more than you probably realize because there's good information there.
No,
You
we-
keep it
we
updated, and
Mhm.
as you discovered this morning, because you probably didn't know, I'm carrying some of your stuff with me.
I love to see it. Love to
So
see
I
it.
can share it with people, and there are times depending on what I'm wearing and what I'm carrying. I got Power Coalition in one pocket, I got the Constitution in the other pocket.
Right.
I mean, I pull out the stuff.
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Right.
Because I just want people
You
to
gotta
know.
have the facts.
Yeah, I just want people to know. Did you know? Did you know?
Did you know? Yes.
That kind of thing. So, people see me coming in and know. I know. Did I vote? Yeah, I voted.
Ask every
Well,
time.
did you really? Where's your polling place?
Right. Exactly.
That happened to me when I went to Gentilly Fest. I saw this sister, and I didn't know her, but I loved her hat. I wanted to know where you get that hat because I think I want my wife to have that hat.
I love it.
And I'm talking to her, and it's like, well, today's the election. She says, "Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going vote from here." I'm like, sister, you at the Gentilly Fest.
Right.
Are you really going to vote?
Right.
Are you really going to vote?
Right.
He said, yeah, I got to figure out where I'm going. I said, okay.
Yep.
Pull out
your phone. Exactly.
Pull out
That's
your
it. No.
Here, I don't know your birthday, but you do. Here,
right.
do
You
this and
fill
this
us
and
in.
this, and show it to me. I said, okay. So it looks like you're not going to be going anywhere. You don't seem to be registered, sister.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Yeah. No.
You know?
We found. Look. I mean, you got to interrogate, and I think too, like some of the best conversations come out of asking folks the questions, and people have really good answers about how they got to the place where that registration lapsed, or
And in her case, she said, I moved, but I thought I changed it. I said, well, let's try the other address.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So,
again, and then at that point, you register right there on your phone.
but I had a good conversation with her.
Yes, absolutely.
And we left at a reasonable spot. I got the hat information.
Right.
And she learned a little bit about what steps she needs to take.
Right.
So look, there are some things that are in the news that we want to make you aware of. And one of those things is that this morning there was a 2-alarm fire at the former U.S. Navy base in Bywater over at Poland Avenue and Charter Street. So that was around 3 o'clock this morning. It was on the second floor on one of those large buildings. Those of y'all who've been in that neighborhood, it's big abandoned building with all the graffiti all over it. And though nobody's supposed to be there, we know there are people using it, if not living there, and all. So there was a second alarm fire, and the request went out by 4 a.m. And the fire was under control by 5:16 a.m. So imagine this is an empty building for the most part, and a 2-alarm fire. But what that meant was 17 fire department units had to go out.
Oh, wow.
17.
Wow.
Because of the location, because of the size of the building, because they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so that's 46 of our people had to respond to make sure it didn't become something bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm pointing that out in part because we have a fiscal crisis. And when you have a budget, you're supposed to work within the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have been the right thing to say, well, we don't think we have the money today and we're going to only send 10 people? I think not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you get to make the I don't
think
this is
so.
life and it's also life and death, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So even though somebody's not supposed to be there, do you want them to get injured or have a death? So no injuries were reported. No surprise when they got there. There were people who apparently living in the abandoned building, and they were able to save those lives and not have additional damage to that building. And so that's good. Meanwhile, over at the airport, unfortunately, we have a third measles case discovered in the state.
So scary.
So this was at the Louis Armstrong New Orleans Airport. Depending on who you are, MSY. And so the Louisiana Department of Health has announced that this particular traveler, we don't know who the person is, came through Concourse B outside of the airport security checkpoint between 5 to 8:30 p.m. on Sunday. 5 to 8:30 p.m. outside of the security checkpoint. So not like the person was already on the plane, but the person had been on the plane with other people, which means everybody on that plane had been exposed to this person with a verified infection of measles. We know the person lives in Region 9, which is Livingston, St. Helena, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, and Washington parishes. So a bunch of parishes, could be any community in that area. We know that measles is highly contagious, especially for those who have not been vaccinated. So we don't know if this person was vaccinated or not, but more likely than not, probably not. And it's particularly dangerous for babies and young children, pregnant women, and any of those of us with compromised immune systems. And let me say, I am not a doctor, I am not a health professional, but it's my understanding that when we talk about compromised immune systems, that includes obesity. So, so if you're too large, as I am, then, that puts you at a greater risk. And this person is out there somewhere. They have identified the person, and the health department wants to know if you were on one of those flights between 5 to 8:30 p.m. on Sunday. If you were at the airport, keep in mind that this was outside of the checkpoint, which means you didn't have to be taking a flight or leaving a flight, so you could have been dropping somebody off.
Right.
And so that's pretty dangerous. Yeah. That one person can spread that to any number of other people. So keep that in mind. All right. So, Mr. Producer, we are ready to keep rolling. Can we keep rolling, or do we need to break? I just noticing the clock. Break? All right. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back, getting used to the new schedule. I am Will Sutton. With me is Ashley Shelton. We're going to talk some more about voting, and just a reminder that we're going to have Victor Sims coming up. As always, that'll be a fabulous conversation about our mental health and what we can do, things to be aware of, things to know and recognize. Victor Sims will be along in a bit. Right now, we're going to take a break. It's 8:13 a.m. WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Hey, this is Dave Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 12:30 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. The longest government shutdown in history appears to be coming to an end. That's after the Senate passed a deal to fund the government through January 30th. Now it moves to the House, who will likely vote on the package this week. Democrats crossed party lines voting in favor of the measure without securing an extension of Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. However, the deal will reverse President Trump's attempted layoffs of federal workers and fully fund SNAPs. GOP leaders are hopeful it could pass as soon as Wednesday. Now, when it comes to SNAP, there's still some confusion on when all Americans will receive assistance they need. Yesterday, the Trump administration went back to the Supreme Court asking for SNAP benefits to remain partially frozen because they argue releasing the full funds would negatively impact ongoing negotiations to end the shutdown. The Supreme Court is expected to rule on this today. The Louisiana Department of Health started distributing federally funded benefits last week, with the next round set to be sent out sometime today. And to help families cope as they feel the impacts of the shutdown, WDSU is helping put on a Stuff the Truck event. So this Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're asking people to stop by the station to drop off non-perishable food items to help our neighbors in need. The drop-off will be set up outside the station at the corner of Barone and Howard. All donations go to the United Way. Also, former WDSU anchor Norman Robinson will be here to greet people as they drop off their donations. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
All right. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is Will Sutton. I'm here with Ashley Shelton from the Power Coalition. Good conversations this morning.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
Yes, always good to be with you.
Well, this is WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422. Y'all be staying tuned because Victor Sims will be in the studio. He's already in the house, so we know that he is in the place and in position to join us in a bit. Ashley, we've been talking about the government shutdown. We're talking about voting. One of the things that concerns me sometimes is we have kind of the news of the moment, and it gets lots of attention, like the government shutdown. And there are important reasons why we have a government shutdown. And, you know, in my mind, the way I think, it does come back to who did we elect and why. And,
Absolutely.
And all. But meanwhile, we have a court case before the Supreme Court that's already been argued and then reheard.
Yes.
And now we're waiting on a decision, and we don't know when the decision will come, but give us a little recap of what we're up against, what we're facing, what we can anticipate.
Yeah, so, you know, Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, actually, we were plaintiffs in Robinson versus Ardoin, who at the time was the Secretary of State, and then actually, you know, prevailed.
Right.
Congressman Cleo Fields won the election, so there are two majority-minority seats because that's what that case was about having fair representation. Since we had all of the black voters packed into one congressional district between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and so basically no other black voters had a voice, and so these two districts created that opportunity. And so then we had several interveners in Calais come and say, no, and they made sure to specify that they were non-black voters who said that they had been discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when the Supreme Court in its rehearing, they asked the question of our attorneys to answer how Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act doesn't fly in the face of the 14th and 15th Amendment. And, which is particularly cruel, given that the 14th and the 15th Amendments were created after Reconstruction to protect minorities.
How about that?
And so, we're in a real fight. And so basically we went to court October 15th. We had oral arguments. Janae Nelson did a spectacular
It was amazing. I mean,
job.
I wish I could have been there in person, but just listening, I was like, oh my God. Did she break it down?
It was so powerful. Did an amazing job. But here's what's crazy. I want folks to remember and think about that Janae Nelson with the Legal Defense Fund was the only person representing the voters of Louisiana, because the Secretary of State and the, Attorney General in Louisiana decided that they no longer wanted to stand behind a second minority district here in the state of Louisiana. But it didn't matter because she was amazing and she did and said what needed to be said. And, you know, and now we wait. And so there is some thought that there may be a decision as early as December. More than likely, it'll probably be a June, July decision, which is typically when they make their, you know, decisions. And so we'll see. But I do think until that time, you know, we have every opportunity to continue to fight. And so after oral arguments, Louisiana had a special session where they did not vote on maps, but they did move qualifying for congressional elections. And let's be honest, they did that so in the hope that they will gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and then they can, they can quickly go back into a special session and redraw the maps. And so, and I want to take a moment to explain to people like what's at stake, right? So, because I think it just sounds like, Supreme Court, mumbo jumbo, whatever. The Voting Rights Act is 60 years old, literally this August, just made 60. And before the Voting Rights Act, there were 4 minority districts. Currently,
wait. I want you to pause
Yes,
because I
let me
want to
pause.
emphasize this. 4?
Yes, 4.
And where were those 4?
Oh gosh, no, it's
No,
a
no,
little
no.
early in the morning for
Okay,
the 4,
all right, but yeah,
they weren't in the
they-
South.
they-
How about that?
but you're not talking about 4 in Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh no. Yes, we're
You're
talking about 4 across the country.
The whole
country. Yes, there were 4.
Yes.
After the Voting Rights Act, we see and currently now have a little more than 60 minority districts across this country. And if, and we've already seen Texas, Missouri, many of these, states already making moves to basically neuter the voices of Black voters in their states. And Louisiana was primed to do the same, but felt like basically if they drew maps this special session that it would prove the whole necessity of the Voting Rights Act in the first place. Because how in a state that has the second largest Black population, proportionally in the country, do we not actually have fair representation or equal representation? And so, what we're fighting here is the ability to be able to elect candidates of choice, right? Like this is about whether or not you have representation. And I want folks to also think about that, like if they do away with Section 2, we would almost see half of those districts disappear overnight. So 30 almost fall off the map almost immediately. And what is key for me is that I remind folks all the time, like, what is citizenship? Citizenship is the opportunity, like the ability to be a citizen of this country and have a voice. One vote, one voice. With inequitable and unfair maps, there is no one. You do get your one vote, but if it's in a cracked or packed district where your vote is neutered, that's not democracy. That's not citizenship. And and I tell folks all the time, if I don't have anyone representing me in Congress, and let's be really clear that if it gets gutted, it's going to also ripple into the states, city councils, school boards. Right. And so at the end of the day, this is going to be one of the most significant, policy changes in this country. And it is literally going to neuter the voices of Black voters across this country and our ability to elect candidates of choice.
All right, we got a caller. Ken Jones, you're on with Will Sutton and Ashley Shelton. And we got it for a few minutes. Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good morning, D. Will Sutton. Good morning, Ms. Shelton.
Good morning.
I appreciate your comments. You're doing a fabulous job, and you're doing great work. Look, I would tell you this. I want to talk about one of the ballot the charter amendments to change the city attorney's allegiance, so to speak. It's tough being a city attorney to begin with because you represent the mayor and the council. That already exists. What they're now doing is saying we already confirmed people, but we want to now be able to make sure you can't fire them. So we'll only confirm who we want. So the mayor doesn't really get their pick. And then on top of that, if we don't want you to fire the person that we feel is doing what we want them to do. That is not the form of government we have. Now, here's what folks know, which applies writ large to all the topics that you're talking about today regarding voting. People don't vote. they do not vote. Look at the percentages. They are horrible. 30%, 40%. We don't vote. So who's going to take you seriously when you're not voting? It's not rocket science. And people are empathetic, about or apoplectic about a lot of things. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, well, I understand you feel some kind of way. I understand you don't think you understand this. I understand you don't think it's important. But at the end of the day, you know what people get? You live with the outcome. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. Well, I'm important to them, a person, and I got a right to feelings. Good. You're going to live with the outcome. I don't like the outcomes I am currently seeing. They do not bode well for most people, especially working people. Personally, I'm fine. It's not going to change my life, not at all. But the people who go to work every day, the people who are trying to raise families, the people who need things, for anything from health care to public services to infrastructure, you need help. Something has to happen. But on my last note, now I'll close out, now listen, the housing initiative, I will not vote for that. I'm going to tell you why. In most places, all the places they named about Pittsburgh, I worked for the Redevelopment Authority, and that was my job there in Pittsburgh. And when it was created for a certain purpose. Guess what? It got used for developers and other folks, not for building affordable housing and keeping sustainability where it needs to be. I don't know, given our current council makeup, especially the incoming council, that it's going to be very much different. So on that note, until I know specifically what they're going to do, I personally am voting no. I don't have pie in the sky. Oh, affordability, I want things better. Sure, show me and tell me how if you want me to vote for something, and then you can have my vote. Thank you. I'll sit and listen.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate your call. As always, you always bring up some great points. Have a blessed day. We're going to have to go to break now, and when we come back, we'll have more of the news and information that you want to know, should know, and all. I'm Will Sutton. I'm here with Ashley Shelton. I know you're going to have to leave in a bit, but yes. I hope you're enjoying it enough to come back tomorrow.
I'll be back tomorrow.
All right.
Yes,
wonderful,
I'm excited.
wonderful. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Ever notice that everyone always wants more of a good thing? More rewards, more savings, more special offers? Well, when you become a new member of the Fuel Rewards program at Shell, that's exactly what you get, more. Join today to save 10 cents per gallon on your first fill, 20 cents on the second, and 30 cents on the third. Then enjoy everyday savings afterwards. Want more? Then head to Shell where members get more.
Offer valid from 4/21/25 through 10/31/25 at participating Shell locations. Offer must be redeemed within 60 days of registration. Limit 20 gallons. Restrictions apply. Visit fuelrewards.com/join25 for more information.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites. Then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Tremay, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here at WBOK 1230 a.m. I am Will Sutton, and a special thank you to Ashley Shelton from the Power Coalition for joining me this morning, and thank you all for listening to us and giving us some of your Tuesday morning. It is pretty chilly out there, downright cold to some folks. Some folks are grabbing the gloves and the fur coats if they have them, and definitely the heavier jackets and not the windbreakers because it's that kind of weather out there. It is 8:30 a.m. and just a reminder that school zones are in effect until 9. So please be careful if you are heading out or if you're already out and about. Watch for the babies as they get to school. Watch for the caregivers, the grannies and the pawpaws and aunties and the TDs to making sure that they get to where they are going. And watch out for those other drivers because I know you're not one of the crazy drivers, but watch out for those who are and be on full alert. Happy to say that Victor Sims is back with us, folks. So we're going to spend some time talking about mental health generally, but in particular, emotions, and how your emotions can affect behaviors. And, of course, if you are a human being, you got some emotions.
Yes, you do.
And if you live with another human being, they got emotions.
Yes, they do.
And if you got two people with sets of emotions, then that's some negotiating and some figuring out to do. And then if you got a family of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 and 9, in my case, when we were growing up, then we got a whole bunch of emotions.
A whole bunch of different emotions.
To do. And that's just your family emotions. Then you got some work emotions, hopefully, if you got a job.
If you are a human being and you interact with other human beings, you're dealing with a wide range of different emotions. And emotions are normal. They're not bad. They're not good. They're not negative. They're not positive. They're either comfortable or they're uncomfortable. We as hedonistic, pleasure-seeking creatures, we love comfortable emotion. We love warmth, kindness, love, generosity. We love those because they make us feel good, and we strive for those. We go out of our way attempting to acquire those. The whole idea about going out with friends is to enjoy yourself, to laugh, to have a good time. Those are very positive emotions. If we had a concept that going out with friends would end up with some irritation, frustration, disappointment, then we probably would avoid that experience because that's what we tend to do. We don't enjoy negative emotions. I'm sorry, not negative, uncomfortable emotions, but we do enjoy the comfortable ones. And this controls a great deal of our behaviors because if this particular activity is going to cause me to feel good, then I'm going to go towards it. Or if I perceive that is going to feel good, I'm going to go towards it. Which brings us to another aspect in this trilogy of emotions and behaviors is thoughts. Thoughts and emotions sometimes get confused. If you was to ask someone how you feeling, they'll tell you, well, I'm feeling pretty good this morning. Well, that's actually a thought.
Yeah, right.
You know, because an emotion would be good. If you ask somebody how they feel in their anger, they say, I'm angry. Well, you know how they feel. One word can express an emotion. If I have to say why I'm feeling good, why I'm feeling angry, now I'm expressing a thought.
So often, you know, one of the things that I'm glad you're bringing that up because so often as we go about our daily lives, if we're leaving our homes and going to the grocery store, gas station, going to work, and you say, hey, how you doing? And people will say, fine.
Yeah.
Or they will say, okay.
Yeah.
They don't even say, how are you? They just, fine.
Yeah, they may not respond. And that's been depending on that individual's acculturation, how they've been acculturated in order to respond. If they've been trained by their trainers, usually our parents or grandparents or some individual who guides us in appropriate social interaction, they will tell us, well, then you return the question, how you feel? Well, I'm fine. How are you? And that's an appropriate social interaction that we've been educated on or conditioned in order to respond. But a lot of people don't respond to the conditioning.
So how should we receive or see the one-word responses fine and okay?
Well, If that's how that individual's feeling, they just told you.
Is that a feeling or is that a thought?
No, that's a feeling. Fine.
That is a feeling.
That's a feeling. I'm fine. Now, you don't know why you're fine. You don't know what makes you fine. But that is truly an emotion. I'm fine. Well, you know how I'm feeling. Now, if you require more about me, then you will probably either go deeper into that question by saying, well, you know what? What's making you fine today? But we normally don't do that. We normally would take that. Now, if we're accustomed to getting that extreme response or that longer response, I'm fine today. How about yourself? Well, if we're used to that, then just getting the one word, we may feel somewhat slighted by not involving in a full conversation. But in reality, the individual just gave you exactly what you asked for.
Right, because you didn't ask enough of a question to solicit any more than the
answer.
one word.
Right.
My daddy will be 95 next month.
Yeah.
Very pleased that he and my mama met on the campus of Dillard University, and a little spark happened, and there I came.
All right.
Okay. But before those days, my daddy likes to remind us that he would often ask people, especially young ladies, how you doing? And they would say, fine. He's like, well, I know you're fine.
That's right.
But how are you actually feeling?
Hey, I was there too at one
You're
time.
right.
You know?
So,
And that-
but that's the follow-up question,
Well, it is a
asking for more than the one-word answer. In that particular case, to have more of a conversation, but not always with some other motive, but actually wanting to know more.
Yeah. In that particular type of interaction, there is a desire for more. That type of interaction. There's a desire to get to know this individual a little deeper. So you will probably continue with more questioning about that because you want to draw that person in. You want to get their attention. You want to get something more from them. Because if you were truly just interested in their emotional state at that moment, them saying fine would be sufficient. But if you have other motives in your questioning, you will continue questioning a little bit beyond that, or make a statement such as the one that you made in order to elicit more of a response from the person. Now I'm looking more for your thoughts. I'm looking for your thoughts about the fact that, look, I'm interested in you or you're interested in me. That's what's underneath that particular type of an interaction. But under normal circumstances, if you're walking down the street and you see someone, hey, how you make? I'm doing okay. And that should be sufficient. Some of us make that question because we're being acculturated to do so, and we really don't want the full, real answer. Because if anybody really beginning to have, or they're in a bad state, and they begin explaining the difficulty they're having, my wife is not getting along, my rent is not due, I don't enough get. You stand there and go, okay, well,
I didn't want to know all this.
All that, I just, I'm doing something because I'm socially acculturated to ask that question. But in dealing with this particular topic, understanding that your behavior is greatly affected by your emotional state. And that is the part that can potentially be beneficial or very negative in it. Because some people will engage in inappropriate behaviors and they will justify, well, I was angry. As anger is a justification for the inappropriate aggressive behavior. And some people actually believe that. I mean, I teach anger management, I have an anger management program, and a lot of times individuals will try to justify behaviors by utilizing an emotion. It is never true. Never true. That my emotions are the reason for my behavior. My behavior is inappropriate. My emotions are not justification for my behavior. Never. But a lot of us feel that way. And, we've been slowly acculturated again into this concept that I can engage in inappropriate behavior because I had an uncomfortable emotion.
So is that thing where I have this emotion because you gave it to me?
Yeah. You made me this way.
Right.
Well, I've had many individuals sitting in my office, and a husband would talk about the fact that his wife made him do certain things. So my question to him was, so she can make you do things? Yeah, man, she controls me. I said, okay, wife, make him give me $1,000. And he'll look at me. I said, come on, make him give me $1,000. I ain't give you no $1,000. so she can't make you do anything. And then he sort of understands where I'm coming from, that no one makes us do anything. We make the decision based on what we perceive is going to be beneficial towards us or not. And if I engage in inappropriate behavior based upon emotions, I have to attempt to justify that behavior because it's clearly not inappropriate with an expression, because I was angry or I was upset. If you do have a problem with behavior based on your emotions, I highly recommend, not just because I'm a therapist, go get some help because that's not justified. And if you ever want to prove it out, go into court, go into a criminal district court, sit in for some trials, and when a judge requests from the defendant or from a perpetrator, why did you engage in that behavior? And I was angry. You think you're going home? You think the judge is going to dismiss the case and let it go?
Good reason.
No, not going to happen.
Right.
Because that's reality. That's a reality test. That my emotions are never justification for my behavior. Never.
So I think sometimes with emotions, we're often aware of the emotions, but we have different ways that we respond to dealing with the emotions.
Yeah.
But then there are other cases, particularly in relationships with people that we have daily interactions with. We might have emotions that, for whatever reason, we're not recognizing it the way the receiver sees it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're not having the emotion. I mean, maybe it's not, for you, it's like a 2, but for them, it's like a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very real and normal that transpires because one individual who utilize uncomfortable emotions normally, because they may have been trained that this is the emotion that tends to get my needs met. They may not see that their behavior is over the top. Whereas the individual who's the target of their behavior, of their emotions, can definitely feel this is a 9 reaction as opposed to the person who's giving it, see it as, well, I do it all the time. Or, some excuse, that's just the way I am. Well, we understand it's the way you are, but that doesn't mean that you have the right to bestow that on another human being. And if their response to your emotional reaction is the true key, the response is the reality. We can misrepresent the facts to ourselves and attempt to justify an inappropriate, emotional driven behavior. About like again, that whole thing about, I was angry. Well, if that's supposed to eliminate the aggressive behavior that you just engaged in, if that's supposed to minimize it or soft soap it or reduce the negative impact, because if you are the victim of that aggressive behavior based on that emotion, trust me, you're not minimizing that pain that you're going through, whether it's physical or emotional, because we can emotionally damage people as well by using words. One time we used to have the conversation, sticks and stone may break my bones, but words, words do hurt.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They do. And they do damage, and sometimes they do damage longer than what a physical damage would do. We can maintain these things. I tell many of my clients, feelings have no time limits. There's no such thing as you should be over this by now. Sounds good, doesn't exist.
I want you to be over it.
I want you to be over it.
But that's my want.
That's right, because that relieves me of my uncomfortable emotion that I did damage you. And you get that a lot in relationships, where an individual will do something or say something very inappropriate toward their significant other, causing a great deal of emotion distress. And sometimes, the minute it rolls out of your mouth, I'm sorry. Because of the reaction of the other individual, you recognize that maybe you shot a little bit too far.
Right.
Maybe you overshot your mark in what you were attempting to do in that verbal expression of your uncomfortable emotion that you hold the other person responsible for. And that's what you mentioned. Well, you made me angry.
Right.
No, I did something you didn't like, but your emotional reaction is totally up to you. Anger is a very specific emotion that's generated by very specific behaviors, violation of my rights, where I'm not being treated fairly. Whereas opposed to disappointment, frustration, irritation, those are specific to human interaction. Disappointment, something I really wanted, I didn't get. I'm disappointed. That's an appropriate uncomfortable emotion. Irritation, something that bothers me keeps happening over and over and over and over and over again. I start getting irritated. Frustration is when I'm trying to work at something. I'm doing my best to accomplish a goal, and it's just not happening. So I'm getting frustrated. Those are appropriate uncomfortable emotions based upon the situation.
Yeah.
Anger is appropriate as well, but it has a little bit more meat to it. Violation of my personal rights. And I identify 5 personal rights. The right to do what I do with my body, with my time, and with my property. Now, property is not just my personal belongings, it's also my thoughts, my ideas, and my feelings. Those are also my property. I have the right to expect to be treated with respect. That doesn't mean I'm going to get respect because I walked in a room. Because respect, everyone knows, something you have to earn. You know, you have to do something to get respect. And the last one, I have the right to express myself, say whatever it is on my mind that I want. Now, in that conversation, those 5 basic rights, if you feel as though you're feeling angry towards someone, if you can identify one of those rights as being violated, then your emotional reaction of anger is justified. And I really want to emphasize your emotional reaction of anger, because anger is not a behavior. Anger is an emotion. Anger can't do damage to anyone, never has, never will, because it's an emotion. If I use that emotion to guide my behavior, now I'm getting aggressive.
Right.
Aggression is a behavior. Violence is a behavior. Abuse is a behavior that we use the emotion of anger to fuel and drive. So understanding the connection between my emotions and my behaviors is sort of very important. That understanding that my emotions are never justification for my behaviors.
All right, we're in conversation with Victor Sims talking about emotions and behaviors. If you're human, you got it.
You got it. You
got it. It is 8:47 a.m. This is WBOK 12:30 a.m. We're going to continue this conversation. We'll be taking a break in a bit. But, you know, one of the things that I'd like you to talk about is so often when we talk about emotions, we're talking about things like anger, frustration, depression, how that, you know, the difference between emotion and a feeling. But there are emotions that are exhilaration.
Yes.
There are emotions where you're like ecstatic.
Yes.
And those two can have an impact on your behavior.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Always. You know, and we talk about stress, you know, there's also, and stress is normally seen as an uncomfortable set of emotions that cause us some emotion discomfort. Well, there's also eustress. Eustress is what you just mentioned. I'm exhilarated about something. You know, I just bought this new car, or I'm going on a date with the person I'm on a date with. You know, those are some emotions too. They're stressful, but they're ones that we like. You know, they feel good because they're looking forward to some positive experience. And as I mentioned before, we are hedonistic creatures. We are pleasure-seeking creatures. And if we are getting involved in activity that we perceive is going to be extremely fun for us, this brand new car, this date with this person, then we're filled with eustress. You know, it's stressful, but it's a positive stress. We look forward to that. And we walk out the door smiling and happy and content. And we see that person on the street, good morning to you, instead of, hey, good morning, how you doing? It's a different behavioral response when we're filled with positive, or shall I say again, comfortable emotional reaction to a particular situation.
So as we go about our daily lives and we have these emotions, obviously we're recognizing some of the emotions, but at different times and at different levels. Some of us are highly expressive. I'll raise both of my hands.
Okay.
Highly expressive. Facial, hands, body language, highly expressive. So my emotions sometimes are expressed through my body language.
Yes.
And so how do you see that as a part of behavior?
Yeah. Well, that's basically because we're talking about communication. And emotions can be exhibited in communication. Well, there are two components of communication. There's verbal and there's nonverbal. Verbal is the actual words that we speak. Nonverbal is everything you just mentioned. Hand gestures, body language, face expression, tone of voice. Those are nonverbal communication. And they will completely change a message if you change those. I can use the exact same verbal communication. If I change the nonverbals, the verbal changes. If I was to say, and to hopefully the audience can catch this from the tone of my voice. If I was to say something like, "Yeah, Will, I'm having a great day." How many people actually believe that?
Right.
Now, if I was to say, "Will, I'm having a great day," see, I use the exact same words, but I changed the tone, I changed the volume, and if you could see me, I'd have changed my facial expression.
Right.
And the first set of words, "I'm having a great day," you don't believe that at all. You think I'm having a horrible day, because I probably am. But the second set, when I changed the nonverbals, it now became a believable comment. A lot of us, a lot of times, get caught up in saying the verbiage, but not paying attention to the nonverbals. That's where the message is truly coming from. You can actually send a message to someone without opening your mouth, just by your facial expressions. They know how you're feeling, by your tone of it, by your body language. They can tell, "Oh, this boy's in a bad mood," and didn't open your mouth. Basically, we cannot not communicate. We're always communicating.
Right.
The question is, do we know what we're communicating? Sometimes we attempt to hide it in verbal discussions, but the nonverbal will give us away every time.
All right, we're going to go to break, and we're going to continue this conversation with Victor Sims about emotions and behaviors. You are listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
After near to below freezing temperatures to start, highs finish between 58 and 63 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Less wind today means it won't feel as cold. Tonight into Wednesday morning, lows range from 40 to 50. By Wednesday and the rest of the week, highs return to the upper 70s along with rising humidity. Rain returns Sunday and Monday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule. No excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Looking to join an organization that is committed to help promote economic development in New Orleans East? Look no further. The Greater New Orleans East Business Alliance is a member-based nonprofit organization made up of business owners and local professionals united for the purpose to promote business development in Eastern New Orleans. If you want to become a member, call us at 504-957-3568.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-311-5977. That's 800-311-5977. 800-311-5977.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I'm Will Sutton. Earlier, we were with Ashley Shelton from Power Coalition. Wonderful set of conversations and visits with Ashley. Right now, we're in conversation with Victor Sims talking about emotions and behaviors. So we were talking about some of the different types of emotions and how we respond behaviors, and part of that was body language.
Yeah, nonverbal communication.
And how can that body language have an impact on others? Because it's a different type of communication, even if we don't open our mouth. And as I admitted, I'm a very highly expressive person, so people can know a lot about how I'm feeling based on just my verbal, my nonverbal communication, because my facial expressions.
Facial expression, body language, hand gestures, tone of voice, speed of voice also changes the message greatly. And individuals will pick that up. Sometimes we, the individual delivering the message, may not recognize what we're actually doing. So I encourage everyone, if you have a message you really want to get to someone, pay attention to your nonverbals for them to be able to absorb the message. Sometimes we have to have uncomfortable conversations, but truthful conversations. So basically, we try to put the medicine in the sugar cube. The sugar cube is your tone of voice, your face expression, your body language toward the individual who you're giving this information to. And there's some other technical things you can also do to give what we call constructive criticism. But also pay attention to not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it. Because how you're saying is what the listener is going to pick up. They're not going to pick up your intent. They're going to pick up what message you're giving them. And a lot of that is based upon what they may have been experiencing in life as well. Their interpretation of your face and your body language can also be a representation of what they've experienced, what they have been in tune to pay attention to, And when you come across with your message, it gets interacted or interpreted by their experiences and our own nonverbal communications. So we have to be aware of not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it. As a matter of fact, 80% of communication is nonverbal. So it's definitely how you're saying what you're saying if you want someone to truly get your message.
Great. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Really good conversation about emotions and behaviors. A good reminder for me, highly expressive person that I am, to watch my emotions and be able to decipher them a little bit better than sometimes I have in my 7 years on this good earth. Well, we're going to be making way for the front porch. It's time for Kimber and Graylin and all the wonderful things that they'll have coming forth. You never know what you're going to get, but except for one thing, good conversation and information, challenging thought, and doing it in the context of culture. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Have you heard the secret of what New Orleans is to